Hello everybody, I am Hyper-G from Proxy Table Gaming, and I am back with another episode in the Universal Battle 2 tutorial. First of all, I'm going to say a very quick apology for the length of time it's been between the fourth and fifth video. Hopefully if you're watching this as part of a playlist, you wouldn't have even noticed the difference in time between them. But for those who have noticed, apologies. But let's get on with the fifth installment of this video and not worry about small details like that. And the fifth episode in this Universal Battle 2 tutorial is in fact what you can do as a guest. Now this is actually an episode that has been requested by a good person who watched the earlier videos and said to me, well, you know, I'm thinking about signing up to Universal Battle 2, but I'm quite keen to know what features are available as a guest, and just seeing your videos shows me what is available as a full member. It doesn't necessarily show me what's available as just a guest. So I can't compare whether or not I want it as a guest or as a full version. So can you show me what is available in guest mode? Well, the answer to that is yes, I can show you what is available in guest mode. And that is basically in the login screen, which you can see in front of you, ignoring the fact that it shows my username, because I'm not going to put a password in here, my usual password. I'm just going to click straight onto guest mode instead. So guest mode takes me into the opening lobby of Universal Battle 2. You'll recognize it from the interface video, the very first one that I did, and any other video where I've already been in the lobby before. And this is me temporarily, Happy Lizard 198. Quite good, really, because I'm normally a Saurian player, but irrespective, that is a temporary name that's just been generated for me while I'm a guest using UB2. Of course, it doesn't look too much different to the usual interface. One of the main differences is this button, Become Pro. Now, obviously, that would not be there at all if I was already signed up and registered to UB2. It wouldn't need to remind me that it wants me to become a pro, because I already would be one. As it happens, it's telling me to do so, and by clicking on that, I can actually have the option of going to register with UB2. Obviously, I'm going to say I do not want to register because I already am. I've already paid for it. That is pretty much the only difference on this screen, visually at least. But there is one further area that I want to show you the differences within this lobby area, which is the Edit Armies button. Now, during the interface tutorial earlier on, I completely skipped this button because it was to do with a whole different level of tutorial. So to some extent, when I click in here and show you the differences between what's available and what's not, you may not have a huge reference on what these buttons relate to. But that's because it's going to come up in a future tutorial. So basically, I'll show you what I mean. What it is in the Edit Armies button, you have 4 tabs at the top, and you'll see that 3 of them are demonstrated with this Pro button on top of them, or Pro sash along the side, indicating that you can only get access to 3 of the 4 features if you are actually signed up as a Pro user rather than as a guest. But first, let's talk about what you get as a guest, and that is access to these default models. Now, these default models, they're still relatively well stocked, and you can see that they're split into different categories. So you've got a humans category with a whole load of different models available. I mean, just by clicking on one of them, he's listed as a king, and you know, it shows you that it's been created by the system, and that is the king model, and you can use that in any of your games while you're playing as a guest. Similarly, any of the others, there's a catapult, and you can click on any of the other different subtypes and see you've got some elf units. There's an eagle, elf. I mean, you can use them as anything. You don't have to use them exactly what they look like, but there are some useful options available at least, and it knows the kind of models you might want to use because it's got some lizard men. Dwarves. I'll just show you a brief snapshot of some of them. There's a good old dwarf cannon there. And they are some well-designed template models. You know, there's some really nice models that they've designed. And that's a wizard rat with a very interesting looking scepter there. Undeads. So yeah, you can have a play with these and you can see that there's some very useful templates available for you. Obviously, you're not going to get every different type of army available across every game system, but mostly you can find models for what you want. So, you know, some ogres there as well. And of course, I should point out that there is a Veil of the Ages option. Now, that is our good friend Peteglio on his YouTube channel, Veil of the Ages. He's got a whole section that's available to you as a guest with some very beautiful models and very beautiful extra options, such as these scrolls. I won't go into too much detail over those, but I will use this opportunity to say, go over to his channel and subscribe, because we all like to support each other, and you've got some great content on that channel as well. There you go, Peteglio did a little bit of a job for you there. Going back to the topic of the guest membership, though, if you can call it membership, more like guest access, what you do not have access to is this button. Now, this is where all of your created armies are kept. Now, I can't really go into that too much detail because there's going to be a future tutorial on your own armies that you've saved into your login. However, as a guest, you do not have the option to make armies and save them. For example, if I say I liked the look of these Lizardmen models, and I do, maybe I wanted to use them in future battles rather than having to go into this area, I might want to consider pressing on clone and saving it into my own army file. If I click on clone, it says, no, you cannot do it, you have to register. And it gives you the option to register there and then. But yeah, it restricts you from doing the clone button while you're not a full member. And that is, I guess, fair enough. This third one in, I'm not going to talk about this very much at all. It's where you favorite armies that you've searched for. I'll go into that more in a separate video. And this fourth option is a way of searching for other people's armies. It's especially useful if you know the name of the army that they've given it. For example, I could search vampire and it would come up with vampire counts. And I could search through all of these vampire armies that have been created. And they've been created by various other people. Apologies if you are Mibola and I've given you a bit of limelight that you didn't ask for. And hopefully you did want. Anywho, yeah, see, what you could do is you could search for other armies. While you are not a pro member, however, you cannot use this button, set as default. It doesn't allow you to do it. Basically means that you cannot really use this search feature because in order to actually place them on a battlefield, you have to set an army as your default file. That will become more available, more obvious, more understandable in a further video. But basically just showing that as a guest, you cannot use this feature. Similarly, you cannot use the star feature, and that relates to this button, where you can save other people's files and use them in your battle. You simply cannot use it as a guest. But like I say, to conclude in this area of the lobby, you do have the option to use the default templates, default models. Okay, going back to the lobby screen, that is pretty much all that you need to see on this screen. This area at the bottom and these areas, I mean, this area at the top I've kind of already gone through in the interface video. This area at the bottom I'm going to save for a future tutorial, but because you're unable to do the cloning, which I mentioned not long ago, it doesn't really affect your guest membership. So you can ignore that still for the time being. You can see loads of people are leaving and joining as this video is being recorded. So what other effects have you got, stroke not got, for being only a guest member? So I am able to set up a battlefield or a playfield. I am able to give it a password so that only my particular friends can join it. And obviously, if one of my friends is also a guest, they would be able to see it in the lobby screen, they would be able to enter the password, and they would be able to join me. And we would be able to, all intents and purposes, have a full battle. because as I can show you here, I can go into this Create Units button and I can find all of the default models that I had available to me. It goes into the very same screen that we saw in a few moments ago, and I can select elves if I want. Similarly, my guest opponent, if my opponent was a guest, would have the same options, and we could both start putting units on the battlefield, setting as default, and I could create my unit of elves right there. And similarly, my guest opponent could do exactly the same, and we would have access to the dice button, just like normal. We would have access to the tools button, just like normal. They'd all be there. You know, you can use your template, you can use your tape measures. Absolutely fine, no problems whatsoever. One feature that is different, ever so slightly, you can use the default terrain, just like I showed in the previous video. You know, you can use all of these options. If I wanted some water, I could set up my battlefield and I could totally have that battle, even though I am only a guest using the guest models. One thing I cannot do though, as a guest, is save my progress. So basically this button is not available. So if you are playing as a guest, you need to do so in one sitting. You cannot save your army, your battle halfway through and then come back to it at a later date. It's a one-shot thing. So if you want a long drawn-out battle over 6 hours, you better be available for 6 hours. It pretty much is as simple as that. The other thing to mention is that these buttons are fully available. They're not locked out. So for example, I've turned on this button. Sorry, was that button? Yes, it was. But of course it doesn't turn off just by pressing it. Yeah, of course it doesn't. I knew that. Yeah, so yeah, I would have to turn it on and off, in and out, but it's absolutely available as a guest. Similarly, the X and Y movement access, so that's on because I can't move them diagonally. Turning it off, now I can move them diagonally. So yeah, all these features are available despite the fact I'm only logged in as a guest. All the other options in here, settings, they're all available absolutely as normal. So you can see that the guest membership does actually offer you quite a lot of features. To all intents and purposes, you can have a battle using just the guest membership, but there are very key things that are locked out. I cannot emphasize how much fun it is to be able to create your own army with your own spin on it, your own color. You can design your own models. You can have fun in all senses of the word designing your army. And for a lot of people, designing an army, putting it on the table, is kind of half the hobby in itself. So yeah, I would certainly encourage you to get Pro membership, even if it's just saving a battle midway through, giving you that peace of mind. It is incredibly useful. Also as well, if your username is constantly changing, then that potentially can make it difficult to make matches. If you're constantly changing, you've got to have a level of organization, but that again, it's a minor issue. And so I'm semi-promoting guest mode because you can pretty much play a battle, but I'm also promoting Pro because it is very worthwhile. And I'm certainly not under any obligation to support Pro because I get 0 from it. It's not my program. I do not make a profit out of promoting Pro. So yeah, make your own decision. Do with it what you will. And I do not believe that there are any other features that are not available from being a guest. If you are aware of any other features yourself that are not available as a guest, then please feel free to put them in the comments. Expand on what I've already said in my video. And yeah, if you do decide to become a pro, excellent. If you want to give me a game, by all means, put it in the comments. We can arrange a game. Contact me on the channel, on the forum, the 9th Age forum, on Twitter via Lucky Six's Twitter channel, which I do not remember because I don't pay attention to what he says. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying these. Apologies again for the time it's taken between videos 4 and 5. But please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I will see you for tutorial number 6, which hopefully won't be coming up too far away from this one. I will see you later.